Today, we're diving deep into a declassified chapter of Cold War history. It's a pretty intense story about secret plans, superpower politics, and some really high-stakes diplomatic chess that brought South Asia to the very brink of a nuclear conflict. It sounds like something out of a spy novel, right? But what if I told you that in the early 1980s, this wasn't fiction? It was a terrifyingly real possibility. A secret plan was actually in motion. A plan designed to surgically remove a nation's nuclear ambitions before they could ever become a reality. Now, to really get what was at stake for Pakistan, we first have to rewind a bit to an event that took place in June of 1981, high over the skies of Iraq. This one single event created a kind of blueprint, a playbook for preemptive strikes that would echo for years to come.
I mean, the sheer audacity of this raid is just incredible. You had Israeli pilots speaking Arabic to fool air traffic controllers, flying this daring low-altitude mission right across hostile territory. They used cutting-edge F-16s to pull off a pinpoint strike that completely destroyed Iraq's Osirak nuclear reactor, basically setting Saddam Hussein's program back by years.
And the fallout from this raid was huge. For other nations, and especially for India, Osirak wasn't just some news story. It was a proof of concept. It showed that a brand new nuclear program, at its most vulnerable stage, could potentially be wiped out with one swift, clean blow.
So, with the Osirak blueprint now in hand, attention pretty quickly turned toward Pakistan. India began quietly putting together its own secret contingency plan, all aimed at stopping its neighbor from crossing that nuclear threshold.
And this was the target, the Kahuta Research Laboratories, or KRL. This place was the absolute crown jewel of Pakistan's program. Inside, its centrifuges were spinning at unbelievable speeds, enriching uranium. Basically, they were taking natural uranium and boosting the concentration of the fissile U-235 isotope all the way up to weapons grade. To destroy Kahuta back then would have been to destroy the entire program.
And let me be clear, this wasn't just some hypothetical war game. The plan, which they called the Osirak Contingency, was very real. It had backing from the highest levels of government, including Prime Minister Indira Gandhi herself, and it was being developed by top military minds. Sources even confirmed that Israel, fresh off its own success, secretly offered to help India carry out the strike. So the strike seemed almost inevitable. The pieces were all in place. But then, a geopolitical earthquake thousands of miles away completely redrew the map and changed every single calculation. The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in 1979 transformed Pakistan literally overnight. It went from a country on the periphery of American focus to suddenly being the most indispensable frontline state in the war against the USSR. The Reagan administration desperately needed Pakistan to funnel weapons and support to the Mujahideen, and just like that, a special relationship was born. Well, this created a really tough dilemma for Washington. For years, stopping the spread of nuclear weapons had been a top priority. But now, the urgent, immediate need to contain the Soviets in Afghanistan became paramount. So what do? Suddenly, one major strategic goal was forced to take a back seat to another. It just shows you a hard truth of statecraft. Sometimes immediate needs override long-term policy goals. So this led to a very pragmatic, if kind of controversial, understanding. The U.S. effectively agreed to look the other way on Pakistan's nuclear activities. The deal was basically this. As long as Pakistan didn't openly test a weapon or sell its technology, and as long as it kept up its crucial support in Afghanistan, its nuclear program would be tolerated. A classic Cold War quid pro quo. Okay, so with the United States now implicitly shielding its new ally, the whole dynamic of that planned strike started to shift. Two critical interventions, one very public and one deeply secret, would ultimately be the things that pulled the region back from the brink.
The first intervention was public, and it was completely unambiguous. In 1984, the U.S. ambassador to Pakistan, a man named Dean Hinton, delivered a message that was aimed squarely at New Delhi. He declared that the U.S. would support Pakistan against any adventure. And adventure? That's diplomatic code for don't even think about it. It was a clear warning that an attack would have serious consequences with Washington.
But the second intervention was even more direct. Away from the public eye, Pakistan used a secret back channel to deliver its own chilling message to India. The warning was simple and stark. If you hit our nuclear facility at Kahuta, we will retaliate with everything we have against your nuclear complex at Trombay.
This wasn't just a threat, it was a credible promise of mutual destruction. So, faced with American opposition and a credible threat of devastating retaliation, the Osirak Contingency was quietly shelved. The window for a preventative strike had slammed shut. The strategic game had now shifted. It wasn't about preventing a bomb anymore. It was about managing a brand new nuclear reality. And that new reality became official on this date. Responding to Indian tests earlier that month, Pakistan conducted its own series of successful nuclear tests. The whole narrative of an Islamic bomb gave way to the reality of a national deterrent. From this day forward, the very idea of a conventional, preemptive strike just became unthinkable.
So, what can we learn from this incredibly tense period? Well, a retired Pakistani scientist who was actually involved in the program offers a really fascinating perspective, especially when it comes to the different kinds of risk involved.
And this slide really highlights his point. The contrast in risk is just night and day. Attacking Kahuta in the 1980s, while obviously very dangerous, would have caused a localized chemical and radiological hazard. It would have set the program back for sure, but it wouldn't have been a nuclear explosion. Attacking an established nuclear power today, though, that's a completely different calculation. You're risking catastrophic retaliation and an escalation you just can't control.
And this quote really captures the ultimate lesson here. According to those who lived through it, surviving this period wasn't just about the technology or the science. It was a victory of statecraft, a delicate mix of military readiness, shrewd diplomacy with the U.S., and a credible deterrent that, together, navigated the nation through its moment of maximum danger.
And this leaves us with a final thought to chew on. This secret history really shows how quickly regional conflicts can spiral and how superpower interests can completely reshape destinies. It's a powerful reminder of that delicate balance between deterrence, diplomacy, and statecraft that even in today's world keeps the nuclear peace.